Hi, good morning, and welcome to Funny Minds. This is Matt Nuccio. Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, you got that right. And most people butcher it.
Okay.
Nuccio.
Nuccio. Eva. Matt is the president and founder over 30 years of Design Edge, and Matt has probably developed most of every game that we have played and the audience has played. And we're going to let him give us an
That
idea.
we have played.
Well, games we played
That's
as
obviously a
kids.
young man. You weren't playing with his toys, I'm telling you.
I bet I was. I bet. So, Matt, tell me, why did you decide to get into toys?
Well, that's a good question. So I'm actually not the founder, but I was here when it was founded. So I actually grew up in the toy business. My father started in the toy business in 1969, working for Ideal Toys, who made a lot of games.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
and then he was at HG Toys for about 15, or actually 17 years. When they were bought by Superior Toys in 1987, he didn't want to move from New York to Chicago. So he started Design Edge with my mother out of the garage. And I was 14. And
Wow.
as I like to say, I was drafted from day one. So I've been here.
So mom and dad worked together and there was no
Yeah, no, and then
no fisticuffs, huh?
they're still married. Yeah.
After all these years. Well,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
played a lot of games together. I mean, there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, but they haven't really worked here, at least in a full-time capacity, for many years at this point.
Yeah.
I see my mother like once a week. She just comes in to look at the books, and that's about it. And my father, he'd rather be fishing
Right down to
or
business.
playing his guitar. It's he's got plenty of hobbies, so he doesn't need to come in here.
So tell us some of the toys that Design Edge has made
Geez,
famous.
in my career, well, we've invented, designed, engineered, done packaging for or manufactured, some pretty big hits over the years. I mean, some early, I started at the beginning, right? Early in my career, worked on the Power Glove, and then we worked on Tickle Me Elmo, Pogs, uh,
Oh,
and then geez, it just keeps. We've worked on Pound Puppies, Barbie,
Wow.
you did
Transformers.
Barbie?
Well, we've worked on some Barbie products, yeah, but many stuff
Oh,
for
okay.
Barbie. I mean, everything from from out licensing Barbie to direct. So we've even done Barbie bicycles, right? It's like
Oh my goodness.
all sorts of crazy stuff too. Work with Rubik's, and then and then ton worked with lots of celebrities and games over the years. Some things that were pretty decent hits in the specialty market that like vocabulary or hashtag it or name five. Lots of monopolies. Sorry,
Oh, the
Oh
different.
yeah.
Clue. We've worked on all that. Yeah, so
Oh, I
we're
love Clue.
yeah, so do I. The most recent Clue we did was the Avengers Junior Clue.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. Well, my
Yeah.
my grandsons are older. I have two older and one younger, so he'll be coming up to that soon.
Yeah,
Tickle
I'm
Me
a
Elmo.
huge Clue
Yeah.
fan. Although I have two sons. We play a lot of games, but right now we're really into Risk. But I never designed a Risk, so they like Risk and Settlers of Catan. They're more strategy based. They like to whip my ass and then rub it in.
He whips your
Real
ass.
snack puppet.
As you should. So you came from New York. Where in New York? New York City?
Yeah, well, Long Island,
Oh,
about
okay.
we're about 40 minutes outside of Manhattan.
So that
Okay.
explains the Nuccio.
Yes,
New
yes, yes.
Yorker.
Yeah. Family immigrated into Brooklyn and pretty much just stayed in the area, and well, that's one side of the family. The other side immigrated into Manhattan, and then I'm a quarter Portuguese. My mother's father is from Madeira, Portugal.
Wow.
He moved here
Oh,
when he
I
was
love
20.
Portuguese food.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Oh, they have a
Never.
whole section down in Newark.
I just enjoy being just Southern European in general. That's what I
Right.
look at myself. Give me some seafood or some pasta. I'm fine.
You're good. You're good. Then you made the jaunt out to Chi-Town, which is Beautiful city, man. I mean, obviously we're from Jersey.
Mhm.
I lived in New York City and Brooklyn for years, so I know it
Mhm.
well. But I finally got out to Chicago a few years back to go see my Kansas City Chiefs and the Bears. Man, I was impressed. Clean
Yeah,
city,
yeah.
diverse.
I've been
Oh,
there.
the airport is beautiful. O'Hare Airport, beautiful.
Oh yeah, like yeah. But I mean, I go to Chicago like once a year, so we're still based in Long Island. We're now located on the Gold Coast Movie Studio lot, which is the largest movie studio lot on the East Coast. So they do everything from Marvel movies here to John Wick to a lot of shows for HBO. They're filming Gilded Age right now, which is
That's
they
great.
built all the sets. It's pretty cool. They used to do America's Got Talent here back when Howard Stern was on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
we got to sit in the audience for
AGT.
that a couple of times. So it's
Well, Howard lives out. I think he lives out there, out in Hamptons.
yeah, he's got to be. I'm sure. I mean, it's no coincidence that they filmed it here while he was host. I'm sure that
Yeah,
was demand.
exactly.
You know, we got
I would
Kevin
love
Smith
to be
has
on
his
the Howard
production
Stern
company here. He
show.
lives nearby as well.
That's
Ha-
fantastic.
Howard Stern used to be my hero on morning, news and radio and stuff. I used to love listening to him.
Yeah, well, we've worked with the Howard Stern show on quite a couple of different things over the years. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon pretty much was launched
Oh yeah.
on that. Uh, Also, I once took Gary, Baba Booey around Toy
Yeah,
Fair. I just walked him around.
that's
He was like
cool.
staring at me like, "Is that?" I'm like, "Yes, that is. It's Baba Booey." And then Jen Hahn and yeah, and Sal. I've just spoken to him. But that was more socially once. You probably wouldn't remember me, but Gary would remember me because we had several meetings and
God, I remember him from like the
together.
Stuttering John days.
Yeah,
And,
really,
Oh
he's
yeah,
stuttering
yeah.
John. Yeah.
Yeah, he was such like a strong part of that show, and then he left, but he went to the Tonight Show or whatever, and then like that was it.
that was it. Totally
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Done.
yeah.
So what do you have on the docket these days? Like where are
Yeah,
you
like
at with
what's going to be new in the toy industry?
Ah, see that I can't tell you. So, we're out of a mystery
Oh,
here. I got to, anything we design we're in some cases
oh.
2 years out. We're
Yeah,
developing stuff for movies that you probably don't even know are going into production.
true.
Okay, so so the toy industry is really going to be keeping up with Hollywood, so to
We
speak.
always do. We always do. Think back to,
Well, yeah,
I've been for
think
a
back
long
to,
time.
in the 1950s, all those Marx cowboy sets were all tied into movies. And then, in the 70s, it's all Planet of the Apes and Star Wars. And,
Oh
right,
yeah. Oh
right.
yeah.
by the 80s, the toys started dictating what was on TV. And, now you have Transformers movies, and this is
Oh, yeah.
Barbie's coming out soon as a film. These are all,
Nice.
we're symbiotic.
My youngest grandson is into dinosaurs. He knows at 4.5 years old knows every single dinosaur there is and has them also, you know. But my daughter took him to that show, the Jurassic Park show,
Hmm.
and he was fine. Everything was good. He was petting the bumpy thing and da. Once the show started, he was like, please take me home. Please take me home. Please take me home. He got so scared. He thought the Tyrannosaurus Rex came out and that was it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can see how that could be scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the first time I tried the VR to Oculus, I did the Jurassic Park thing,
Hmm.
blew me away.
Uh,
Blew me away. It was pretty mind blowing.
yeah. That VR is pretty mind blowing. But the only problem with that is like you're having a great time, but then your friends are filming you while you're have the thing on. Then you see
Oh
yourself.
yeah,
Oh,
oh,
I look like a
absolutely.
moron.
Absolutely. And that dates back to like when the kids had the Wii and everything and
Hmm.
they're doing a dance and the Michael Jackson stuff. Oh yeah, we were doing it back then.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
So you
Yeah,
The
have
Mario.
I was a big fan of the Wii as well. That was a nice little blip.
so
I
how
thought it was
many
going to be a lot more popular for a lot longer, but whatever. That's
no,
just
that
the way.
technology's moving
Yeah,
Yeah.
faster than anything else. But how many kids you have?
two boys.
Two
Yeah,
boys? Like
yeah.
me. Mine are 19 and 21 now, so
So,
they're making
Mine
me
are
feel old.
soon to be 13 and 15. Yeah.
okay, teenagers, lucky you. So they must have been like really like flipping out. Like they were probably the most popular kids in class because it's like your dad can get us those toys.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's funny because I tell a story because it's true. When I was in like kindergarten or first grade, I can remember, like talking about what our parents do in class. One kid would be you know a fireman, the father's a fireman or a cop or that, and everyone would be like, wow. And then get to me, and I'd be like, my dad makes toys, and everyone would be like, he's lying.
Yeah. Until Christmas time.
Yeah. And then fast forward, my youngest son in his preschool graduation. I remember that. And they're walking around, they're like, and this kid, Billy wants to be a fireman, and Lisa wants to be a police officer, and then Lucas, that's my son, he's like, Lucas wants to make toys, and the whole audience laughed. Ah! Look how cute.
And look at me now.
Like a
Well,
little
wait, that must have been very interesting for like Christmas and your birthday. Like,
not so there's some memories of things like, I was never really. I think my kids had more access to toys than I did because my father worked at a toy company, so he didn't own the company. He didn't.
okay.
He was only really had access to the stuff that they were doing. But it was the '80s, and I remember like playing army with my friends, and my dad came home one day with like two master packs of like machine guns, and I was like,
Nice.
handing them out to my friends, like like
Oh,
now my
nice.
father would make the news if he did that, like
Oh
but,
yeah, totally.
but my friends all remember that too. Like all of a sudden, like my friends like, I still got the Uzi your dad gave me, and like they're all realistic in the '80s. And then yeah, but with my kids though, there was a lot more access to stuff because
Well,
when
I
they
would
were
think too. Yeah, if they're around it so much, it becomes just another day. So you lose a little bit of that.
yeah, because there's
The
sometimes I show
excitement.
stuff they're like cool. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is
Yeah.
exactly.
cool? I'm like, this thing is sick.
It's, it's like my son plays in tribute bands, and you would think that his kids would be like trying to get the girls because his father's a musician. And then they, yeah, they don't ask to
They're on their
go.
phone. They're
They
like,
don't.
"Where's the food? Where's the
Yeah,
pizza?"
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, that's just I think it's just rebellion, right?
Yeah.
It's just what you do. I'm sure like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger's kids are like, Dad, you're so lame.
Oh,
You're lame.
absolutely. Absolutely.
They roll the eyes.
Yeah,
So, what was your favorite toy?
that's a hard one. I get asked that a lot. Mostly I remember for being really stoked as a kid, and like I guess it was like kindergarten when I got the Star Wars like Death Star set, which didn't even look like a Death Star, just a couple of tiers, and they called it the Death Star. But I remember just
Mhm.
like that was like the greatest thing. And it had in it like the little trash compactor because it was from the first Star Wars, so you could, if you remember the Star Wars scene when they get stuck in the
Oh
trash
yeah.
compactor, which I thought was really cool. But otherwise, lots of just played a lot of games as a kid, and really just, and to this day, just a good imagination. I play with anything really. It's like
Yeah, absolutely.
I love playing games like Yahtzee and stuff like that. And of course, dirty name games and stuff like that, which I'm sure you never had a hand in. You probably never developed any of those naughty games.
There's lots of we call them corruptible games. So there's a lot of
Corruptible? Well, I'm very
yeah.
corruptible. I have a lot of them.
I think mine was my Evil Knievel.
Oh, Evil Knievel, yeah,
No,
that was,
you're
that was
G.I.
great. That was like
Joe.
Kenner Toys, yeah, the Evil Knievel set, yeah,
Evil
great.
Knievel with the pumped up the motorcycle. And
Oh.
Jumping
No,
over
I thought
things.
I thought it was more your G.I.
Well,
Joe.
the GI Joes were cool.
Yeah.
But then I would throw them out the window, so I assumed they were dead. So then I'd go down and bury it.
Yeah.
So I spent all this money on a GI Joe and it wound up in the ground.
Yeah.
I loved Rock'em Sock'em Robots. That
Oh,
was
Rock'em Subs, Ideal Toys. Yeah, that's for my father.
uh,
But
I
yeah,
love that toy.
they were great. Yeah, the Rock'em Sock'em still a great line.
That's awesome.
So are your sons gonna follow in your footsteps, or you don't want them to, or you'd like them to go out and find their own lives? And do
Um,
they
they're I'll let them do whatever they want to do. If they want to work here, they can. I told my son, if he wants to work here, doesn't have to go to design school, which is what I did. I'm like, go to school to be an IP attorney. I can teach you all the design stuff. That's really just a matter of, you know, day in and day out of learning skills. But the attorney stuff, I could save us a fortune and give us an edge.
Oh, absolutely. You never know enough attorneys.
Yeah. And I have quite a
Especially-
few attorneys. That's my problem. I'm like, I have friends who don't have any attorneys. I'm like, I have one for this and one for that and one for that. And I get
Oh yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you had to patent things and
IP attorneys and business
Licensing.
contract
copyrights
attorneys
and
yeah.
all of that. Yeah, so you have a lot of different attorneys. I'm sure. Which
Yeah.
and I'm sure
I've
you
learned how
love
to
every
handle
one of them.
attorneys too. Because yeah, certain types, if I see people get around attorneys and they treat them like they're like clergy and they're scared to, I'm like, it's just a regular guy. It's like
I
if you
know.
don't agree with
I
him, you can
know.
let him know you don't agree with him.
So your one son is into it, and your other son.
Oh, I mean, they're both someone. Actually, my youngest son really likes to draw, so he draws a lot. He's very very creative. But they're busy being boys at this point.
Yeah,
Well, especially at
yeah.
that age.
My oldest son's playing. He just finished wrestling season. He's playing lacrosse. Which is on Long Island is a big deal. It's parts of the
Okay.
country. They're like, "What's lacrosse?" I'm like, "Over here, it's a big deal." Um, they both downhill mountain bike, and my youngest son races BMX.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm.
That's super cool. It's amazing how where you live dictates what kind of sports are offered.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up playing lacrosse too. Like when I was in high school, like if you played lacrosse in Long Island, you could pretty much get a scholarship anywhere because
Mhm.
it was like the hotbed of lacrosse. So but now it's everywhere. I've got like my friend who lives out in LA. He's like, we didn't even know lacrosse was when I was in high school. He's like, now like
Really?
there's leagues for 6-year-olds. It's
Everything.
I don't think I've ever met anybody except for you now today that really played lacrosse. I mean, it's not something that we did in Jersey.
yeah. Well, there's Jersey lacrosse teams for sure.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
now, but I mean back
I think
then.
part of lacrosse is just like it's growing up in the 80s, I think it's when lacrosse starts to blow up because of, and this I'd understand, because of injection molding, the same process as toys. So lacrosse sticks went from being these like wonky looking, like homemade Indian weapons to having
Yeah.
very sleek
Rocket
designs.
launchers.
Yeah. That having very sleek designs that was just appealing. They just looked cool, and I think that was part of the appeal. And those designs have only gotten cooler. I mean, do
Well,
I
they
think
all
it's
and they offer it at the better schools as well. I mean, all the
Yeah, they do.
higher tier schools automatically have lacrosse and
yeah.
hockey.
Yeah, but the thing at Long Island is like every school has lacrosse teams, and then it's like, but the rest
Yeah.
of the country, you're right, it was like a higher tier school thing, and that's why you could get scholarships,
Yep.
coming out of Long Island.
Mhm.
Hey, they do scholarships for paintball now.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
serious.
Do they
They do, and
really?
They do.
they give
Oh my
scholarships for video
goodness.
games too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
you get a scholarship for esports. It's true.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's amazing what they have out there now. In the way of competitive. I mean, these kids are making tons of money.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. We work with quite a few influencers, and
Mhm.
we see the success, firsthand.
Where did you wind up going to school? Did you
I
just
went
do
to school in
traditional
Manhattan.
college?
I went to Manhattan to the Fashion Institute of Technology, FIT.
FIT, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it was a good school. It was a good time. It was good to be a straight male in a school that's 80% women, and then most of the guys are not straight. So it was
Yeah. No, I mean, it just is what it is. It's just
Right.
that industry.
yeah.
So do you have your own manufacturing company?
Yeah, so we don't sell to retail, but we are the manufacturing agent to lots of smaller to mid-tier toy companies, and we do projects for some of the larger companies. So yeah, we manufacture all sorts of goods, toys, games, packaging,
Okay.
clothing, you name it.
How big of an operation do you have
Yeah.
as far as workers? How many staff you have on board?
Yeah, it's always a good question because my problem is the China offices sort of run sovereign. So I really just I give a budget to two different offices to the heads of those offices, and they sort of hire and fire at will. but I
They
think,
just they keep what
yeah,
they need.
yeah. So but I think we're floating around 20. It's not,
Okay.
we're not
Okay.
huge. We're not tiny, but you know, I think
Mhm.
we're just bigger than a freelance outfit,
Sometimes that's the best way to go.
I don't know. I came
Sometimes
from
too much is too much.
manufacturing, and we had a lot of we dealt with aluminum castings for
Mhm.
the aerospace industry. So we, our foundry was pretty big, and we had a lot of different departments, and naturally so. So I would think making toys, you would have to have a lot of different departments too. No,
Yeah, well, we work with a lot of
I
different
mean you have the
factories.
molds,
We have, yeah, well, there's molds and there's different types of molds and different processes. There's
right?
some things are injection molded, some things are blow molded, some things are rotocast, some things are
You have
wood,
die
some things are
casts, and
die cast.
yeah,
Yeah, so and in fact, that's what's helped me get other accounts that are not toys.
Hmm.
So there's been times where companies come to us because our knowledge is so across the board, because we
right,
work with, some industries and, all the guy knows is thermoforming and he's an expert in thermoforming. And they'll be shocked that I know about like, 5 or 6 different types of molding. Like, how is it even possible? I'm like, because we work in everything, because toys are just different versions of what adults play with,
right,
for every,
exactly.
yeah. So we're in every type of material, more so than any other industry. I really can't think of another industry that touches on so many processes.
So you're dealing mostly with, well, you have metal, you do die cast, so that's metal type of metals. What kind of metals?
I mean, but every type of metal. I mean, we do, we do outdoor sporting sets that are, aluminum tubing. It's,
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
we've done some things in steel over the years. All, uh, there's not something. The only thing I think I'm not doing much of, if anything, is glass. But other than that,
Yeah.
okay,
but I can get glass if need be. We know factories that make glass figurines. It's just not very trendy.
right, right.
You know,
So what would you think the hardest type of toys are to make?
successful ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
the hardest types of toys to make, they all have their own challenges.
Yeah.
okay,
And hard can really depend on your definition of hard. Now, there's a low, barrier to entry for, say, games, because you don't really have any tooling. You can just printing. Um, so, from a cost perspective, that's easier compared to, some large injection molded, play set or electronics device.
right,
But
right.
board games, there's a lot of them out there. It's hard to compete on a startup sense, but you
Oh,
can.
you go down the game aisle and oh my God, in like Walmart or
Oh
Target
yeah.
or something,
Oh yeah. Well,
it's
games and puzzles
tremendous.
were, I think, together were up like 1,000% during COVID. It was like ridiculous.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, oh yeah.
That must have been a big. I mean, that must have worked to your benefit,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's yeah, I'm not going to complain about that.
which
While
is odd to think.
yeah,
You know.
but the problem was, though, while that was exciting while it was happening, we also had major supply chain issues. And that
Yeah.
Yeah,
caused late deliveries, and some of those late deliveries are now struggling retailers because they didn't get the goods in time for those Christmases, and then the goods arrived late, so they're sitting on stuff, so they didn't order stuff for the following year. So it did ultimately, I guess, even out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
well, when you did the Tickle Me Elmo, I remember when that came out, and I remember people standing online for like
Oh,
hours.
that was like
Oh yeah,
knockdown drag out.
Unbelievable.
I remember when it first came out, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Here's the doll that I did marker renderings for, because that's how long ago it was." And and next thing you know, it just started snowballing, and then it became like a major sensation. But times were different then too. You're never going to get a product like that because you had a captured audience on captured platforms. So the news would grab hold of what's the hit toy, and then all the channels would run, the hot toy for this year,
Right.
and they would just try to do that. This doesn't happen anymore. People ask me like, "What's the hot toy for this year?" And I can tell them the name of the hot toy, and they're like, "I've never heard of it." It's like, and that's the only, I
Like
deal a lot of
way,
people like,
way
"Oh,
inside
so like,
your.
what are some toys you're working on right now?" And I can name, the hottest toys we worked on in the last 5 years, and most people are like blank. you know,
Mhm.
yeah, you never heard of it because you're not 8.
Exactly.
Well, I was this lunatic mother that used to go shopping in like July and August and have all of their stuff ready for Christmas and up in the attic and already wrapped, like, you know, in between when they were never around and stuff.
Yet very easy to unwrap.
But last year, my daughter called me in a panic and she's like, "Oh my God, he wants it." It was something with Bluey or something, Bluey's camping thing or whatever it was. And I said, "Gee, I think I bought that on my list." And I looked and I said, "Oh yeah, I bought that back in February." "No, you have to give it to me. I have to give it to him." Well, wait a minute. Why? She says, "Because everybody wants one. I can't get it."
She's got to be the hero.
And I put it, I mean, the toy industry is incredible. I mean, like financially, it's a great industry to be in. I bought the thing for $29.99. It was up to $125
Yeah.
because you know the
Supply and
demand
demand.
was there.
Yeah.
Do you put out specific collectibles that are, you know, that are manufactured specifically to be collectibles,
Yeah.
not just you bought a toy, you held on to it for 30
Yeah,
years,
we
and now
worked
it's worth
on, I
something.
mean, a lot of the stuff behind me. Yeah. You know, was our
Mhm.
collectibles that were designed for the
You got
Quest.
so much behind you, it's hard to.
I know.
You know, I used to tell people the toy range ranged from Tickle Me Elmo to Living Dead dolls, you know, because that Living Dead dolls is a good example of something that we were part of the initial launch and did everything for the first, you know, 5 or 6 years of its existence. And those are highly collectible in the goth
Mhm.
market. You know, some of the prototypes I have, people have offered me, you know, big bucks for. Uh, but everything's packed away. I always forget what I'm sitting on. But yeah, we've done, you know, all sorts of, you know, funky looking Japanese style collectibles to, you know, lots of action figures. You know, even some of the games we do are done to be collectible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely, the collectors market is there, and lots
Oh
of
God,
adults
yeah.
play with games to play with toys to now too. I remember when I was a kid, in you'd hear about, you know, in Japan adults read comic books and collect toys, and you're like, that just sounds weird. Well, America will never do that. Fast forward, you know, 30 years, and adults read comic books and collect toys and go to Marvel movies. Like this
Are
is
you
like,
kidding me? I'm 55 years old. You go in my room, I have a toy shelf. I collect a lot of stuff from the movie Jaws. I'm a big Jaws freak.
oh, yeah, well, it's a good movie.
I have toys that I keep them in the box. They're all set up. I mean, it just I'll never get past the age of 8.
Yeah. I took my kids to see Jaws on the big screen this past summer. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they redid. They put it out. I think it was in 3D at the
Yeah.
original, and
Yeah.
I was right
Yeah.
there. Are you kidding me? I love it. So yeah, my wife just looks at me like I'm like, listen,
Well, yeah, that's because men never grow up, so they have to have
no,
their toys. You know, no offense.
it is what it is.
I'll gladly
Women
supply them.
shop, men have toys.
So yeah. So what else you guys?
Women have toys too.
Yeah.
He
Sometimes.
doesn't manufacture those. He probably could, but
Like
that's a
another,
whole different market.
That's a whole, yeah,
I know the
that's a whole different
silicone.
thing.
I know how to mold silicone. That's fine.
No, that's too much.
Well, I really, I'm excited for you because you get to work with a lot of very interesting people, and of course you're not going to spill the beans. So I guess you're ahead. You know everything that's coming that we don't.
He's got the magic
So
toy 8
yes,
ball.
you have, yes, the 8 ball. Oh, I love the 8 ball, and so that's a lot of. I'm sure you must have a lot of fun with that. You know, meeting these people, sitting down with them, and you know, going through their ideas and everybody back and forth, and how you're going to do this,
Yeah,
and
the
then
process is the best part.
Hey Matt, do you have an in-house just special creative squadron, or is it just a
Yeah,
collective? You do?
yeah, it's all in house. So it's yeah, and that's basically what we are. That's the
yeah, you have your
So
engineers.
everybody has something
Yeah. So I mean, some guys are stronger at certain things than other things, but most people here are pretty well rounded, and we build prototypes and we do the design and we do packaging.
Right. Yeah, and see if they like it, whether if they want to change it,
Is there
something
any
that,
like R&D up front? Do you put out, you know, a little bit to show to people and see what type of reaction they get, like you would a movie?
Uh, Yeah,
Or do
there's
you
a
do
lot
that
of
and you do that all
there's a lot of that.
in-house?
I
Like
mean,
you just
it's shown to the trade in that way. So there's toy shows, and some of them are private,
hmm
and prototypes are built and marketing plans are drawn up, and you bring in the retailers or Target or Walmart or Kohl's or Barnes and Noble
right.
or whomever, and you show them what's coming, and they review, and you hope that they order them, and then that's how it
so it's
goes.
just an
Yeah.
upfront, showing, viewing.
Yeah, and then you try to get orders, and then you go into production. Or
Yeah.
if you're dealing with a
Okay.
specialty market, then you go into production with a small run, and you sort of sell them at shows.
So you're launching the balloon to see, so to speak,
Yeah.
what's going to be best in the industry,
Hmm.
aside from the special orders that are done, like with Marvel and stuff like that,
Hmm.
that they ask for the creative part to be done. But you do the test balloons and see what the market is gonna take.
Yeah, and there's sometimes where I don't even know something that we worked on, whether it makes it to market or not. There are times where I'll just you know be at a toy store, and I'll be like, oh, that came out. I didn't even know.
Okay.
What was one of your biggest surprises? What is the one toy that you did because you were asked to do it and you thought it was going to be a throwaway and it wound up just a home run?
You know, that particularly doesn't happen only because when it starts taking off, you know, there becomes more demands for the
Mm.
product. It
Mhm.
starts to get buttoned up harder, and then so we're getting feedback on it, and over a sudden, or there's changes that certain retailer loves it. We have to do an exclusive for this guy or in this color or that. So
Right, right.
you see that happening. You know.
Well, we're gonna have to say goodbye
Aw.
because our time is up now. But it was very interesting to meet you and, to hear about everything that you've done, and I think it's amazing because everybody loves toys. I don't care who you are. People love toys. We love to be entertained. And you've been a very, very big part of that all your life, and your dad too. I mean, your
And
dad
mom.
being out there, and your mom, and yes, and mom. We can't
Yep.
forget mom. We never forget mom. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And where can people find you?
Well, most people find me on LinkedIn. It's
Mhm.
Matt Nuccio.
Hmm.
That's MattNuccio. Or you can go to our website, designedge.net.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time with us today. And to all of our audience, I know you're going to enjoy listening to Matt, and you've probably played with a lot of these toys, and your children too. And you can find Funny Minds. You can find this on Spotify and YouTube and video and all other platforms on audio. And if you go to the website, you will see a big purple donate sign.
Huge.
And we support two very crucial organizations that are very important to us, and that's St. Jude's Children's Hospital and Women's Breast Cancer. So anybody listening, if you go on our site, funnyminds.com, and go in and please help children, help people with cancer, women, it's very important, and they do a great job. And Matt, I'm so happy that you were on today, and I can't wait to see what's coming in the
You gotta
future.
say it right.
You
It's
know,
Matt Nuccio.
Lucio, Lucio. He's
Nuccio.
gonna go have his pasta now.
Oh yeah, it's lunchtime.
He
Lunch.
had his pasta already.
Portuguese pasta.
Portuguese pasta. Matt,
Matt,
it was
thank you.
really great. It
Well,
was
thank you
really,
both.
really great. And
Thank you
good
for your
luck
time.
to you in the future and everything that you're gonna
Yes.
do.
And your family.
Thank you, and you too.
Yes.
Great show.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
All
Thanks.
right, bye bye.
Bye-bye.